So welcome to Yin Yang Yoga tonight. Make sure that you have your props. We've got blocks, blanket, bolster, strap. And tonight we're going to also incorporate the yoga tune-up ball, some kind of ball, approximately tennis ball size. Something that has preferably a little give, not too intense, not too rock hard. But if you have something that's harder, that we can get around that as well. Come into a comfortable kneeling or seated position to start with, and find your postural alignment. Over and over again, we always come back to postural alignment when we begin our class. And we cannot overdo that. Shoulders back and down. Central axis of the body lifts up. And we're going to be focused on this fascial sheet that starts from the bottom of the feet, runs up through the back of the legs, into the back. So if you could imagine for a moment, there's this fabric that connects the muscles, the bones, the organs of the body. Somebody once described it as a Spider-Man suit. If you've ever eaten chicken, you'll sometimes see this kind of white sheath around the bone, and they call this fascia. So this fascia allows greater protection and fluidity of the movements of the body. So just right now, as you sit here, connect the bottoms of the feet behind the heels, the Achilles tendon up through the calf muscles, through the back of the knees, into the hamstrings, around the glutes, into the low back. And the fascial sling continues up through the mid-back, upper back, back of the neck, back of the skull, and over the top of the skull to the eyebrows. So even though we're releasing from the navel down at the back body, it will affect us all the way up to the crown of the head. Connect with the back body. The dark side of the body, out of sight, often out of mind. Become aware, feel conscious of that back body and the bottoms of the feet. And then exhale, release, come forward and grab your ball, and you can come into a standing position. And in the standing position, take the ball under the foot and just roll out the bottom of the foot with the ball. Just rolling out the arch, rolling out the heel, coming into the ball of the foot, and you can wrap the toes around the ball of the foot. So you can even hit the back of the toes here You can sit and do this as well, if you have a chair handy. If you find a sensitive part of the foot, pause there, isolate that, keep the pressure with the ball, and you can pulse the foot down onto the ball and back up, releasing the pressure. You can rock the foot, lifting the toes and then lifting the heel, and you can rock sideways. So there's a lot of ways to hit that sensitive area in the bottom of the foot. If you have plantar fasciitis, you may not want to press down with too much pressure or avoid that area depending on the sensitivity. Switch feet when you're ready. Giving it a good roll. If you're standing, you can even lean into that foot, add some more weight from the upper body. Hitting the heel bone, the arch, the ball of the foot. You can wrap your toes and lift the heel and get a nice big stretch in the toes as well. So I get into my feet on a fairly regular basis, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, through different mediums of massage. Already I can feel myself warming up, and so off comes the first layer. And then release. Let's come down onto our back. Grab a strap. We're going to move straight into the hamstring. Picking up the left foot. You can bring something under the head for comfort or not. Grab both ends of the strap, curling the toes back towards the shin. You might even floss the bottom of the foot with the strap. Once again, getting into the connection between the bottom of the foot and the back of the leg. And locate the strap where the ball of the foot meets the heel. Slowly lower that extended leg towards the ground until you feel the most delicious stretch in the calf muscle and the knee joint is very straight. So the lower we come down, the straighter the leg becomes. So see if you can find that optimal straightness in the leg. And then when you're ready, start to slowly lift up that left leg. Once again, looking for the point where the leg wants to bend, the knee wants to bend to compensate for the sensation. And that's where we stop. Don't go beyond the bend knee point. So it's not a contest to get this leg over the head. It's seeking the delicious edge of discomfort. When you found that delicious edge, hold and straighten the right leg out onto the ground. So you also add a little more sensation into the hamstring here when you straighten that other leg. And then using your yin skills, remember the skills of yin yoga are to be patient, to breathe gently, to relax and to be truthful, to be honest, that the sensations that you're experiencing aren't too much. They're just right. So we're always looking for that edge of honesty, self-honesty with the sensations that feel right for you in your body at this time. And the patience is just allowing the hamstring to let go. The hamstring will let go over time. It takes about a minimum of 30 seconds before the brain and the tendons start to communicate and release. After 90 seconds, that release increases. And then in Yin Yoga, they've discovered 2 to 5 minutes, you can find the optimal release. So very simple start to our practice. Fascial pressure and hamstring release. Now the hamstring release is also integral to letting go for the back. Let's hold here for 5 more breaths. And then take your right foot up into the strap to join the left foot. So both feet are in the strap. Notice the contrast between the sides. The left leg has been up for a long time. Now release the left foot to the ground and just hold the right leg in the strap. And then slowly lower the right leg until you feel the deliciousness creep into the calf muscle. The calf muscle will start to really appreciate you dropping the leg down. It will be flooded with, maybe it's dopamine. I don't know what it's flooded with, but it feels good. Curl the toes back. Give that calf muscle time to really appreciate the patience. As you start to slowly lift that right leg back up, once again, only as far as you can honestly feel the sensations are benefiting you. Not too much. Straighten the left leg out if you haven't already. So this adds a little more zing to the hamstring. Make any micro adjustments that you need to. Then use your powers of yin, the slow breath, the gentle breath. Your patience to simply Be with sensation. Just to be with sensation. Such a blessing to have a body where you can feel sensation. And we often ignore sensation with our preoccupation with thoughts. Just stay with sensation. Feel the hamstring. Feel the calf muscle, the back of the knee, the Achilles, the foot. You'll even feel sensation in the hands holding the strap. So there's lots of things to feel here. Don't jump over feeling. Resist the temptation to analyze. Resist the temptation to create a story or a judgment or an opinion about the experience you're having. Like you're slipping into a warm bath, just enjoy the warmth. Enjoy the sensation, let it marinate into the cells. Marinate into the muscle, into the ligaments, into the tendons. 5 more breaths. And now let's bring that left foot up into the strap to join the right foot. Just notice how the contrast may have diminished between the two. And if you have enough strap length, grab the ends of the strap and spread the legs into a V shape. So you get a little abduction going between the legs, a mini stretch on the internal thighs. If you've got a big strap, a long strap, you'll get a bigger stretch. Mine's a standard size, so I'm getting a moderate stretch, not too much, but feeling that opening in the hips. Toes curled back. Five more breaths here. And then gently release the feet. Release the strap. Grab the knees and rock from side to side. Roll all the way over to one side into a little ball. Come up onto all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, knees wide. And start to pulse the hips back and forth. Just feeling the back of the legs. Feeling the bottoms of the feet. If the feet start to cramp up at all, curl the toes and pulse back and forth. So try with toes down, toes up. Just feeling the bottoms of the feet, the back of the legs. 3 more and then come into child pose with the head supported. So head can be supported on the mat, on the hands, or on a block. And starting to let the low back release. If this is too much for your feet to be stretched in this direction, consider bringing a rolled up towel under the ankles. If it's too much on the back of the knees, consider sitting on a couple of blocks and bringing the head down and resting the head on your hands with the elbows supporting the hands on the ground, like this. Use the breath, the slowing down, the letting go. If this is too much for the knees, you can put some padding under the knees. Five more breaths here. Reach the hands out, big stretch. Walk both hands to the left, put the right hand on the left. Feel the right rib cage open up. Switch sides. Bring both hands to the right. Feel the left rib cage open up. And then release and come up onto all fours. If you've got anything behind you, you can move it out of the way. And we're going to do a little bit of core work here, so you have different levels of engagement. Level number one is you come down onto the forearms and you simply stay on your knees. The further you walk your knees back, the more you feel this. So the goal is to bring the buttocks down so that it's not sticking up. So you feel core engagement here. Just supporting the core. Feet can be elevated or dropped, whichever is more comfortable. At any time you need to rest, come down onto your belly, and then when you're ready to come up again. If the arms get tired, you can always rest and come back up. For those who want to go to level 2, drop the toes down, lift the knees up. So now you come into a low plank, tuck the tailbone, so you engage the abdominals. Focus on the breathing. Squeeze the buttocks, tuck the tailbone, keeping the buttocks nice and low so you're not sticking it up in the air and you're not sagging down towards the mat. Remember, you can always come to the knees or you can come to a rest. For those who want to go to the next level, lift the right foot into the air and touch the mat. Up and touch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Drop the knees, drop the belly. Come into crocodile pose. Stack the hands, rest the forehead. Come into Charlie Chaplin feet. Feet wide, toes point out, heels drape in. Relax the elbows. Let the core settle down. Let the core cool down. Strengthening the core is essential to spinal stability, to hip stability. And it's also going to facilitate more flexibility for our back bends. So right now we're in the first stage of our back bend. Head resting. If this is uncomfortable for the forehead, consider putting a towel on the hands. Level 2 of the back bend, optional. Prop up the elbows under the shoulders, close enough so that the hands can reach the upper arms. And then if you have a block, consider resting the head on the block and the hands on the mat. If you don't have a block, you can just let the head relax downwards. When the head is supported, it allows the shoulders to relax more. Relax the shoulders. Notice how your low back feels. Feeling a stretch in the hip flexors and the abdominals, and there's a crunch in the low back. The low back is contracted, but without muscular effort, simply by being propped up. At any time this gets too much, come back to crocodile. Level 3, remove the block, bring the elbows out wider, and bring the hands out to the edges of the mat. Spread the fingers, and then cautiously straighten the arms, conscious of your low back and your hips. Seal pose. That's it. Let the head relax. You might nod the head. Turn the head left and right. Make sure that neck feels relaxed. Not using the neck for this pose. Letting the arms prop you up. Be patient. Be truthful with the sensations. If they're too much, there's plenty of options, Sphinx or crocodile. If you're enjoying it, if you're feeling you want more sensation, the option to move the hands closer into the hips will increase the back bend. If that's something you enjoy, you have that option too, to move hands closer to the hips or wider apart or narrower. Each one of those choices will change sensations in your experience. Once again, measure the efficacy of this pose by how relaxed you can be, how well you can breathe, how gently you can breathe. No sense of stress or distress, simply a sense of being at ease in the sensation. Five more breaths here. Gently come down to crocodile. Walk the knees and the feet together. Now, keeping the feet and the knees together, if you have a block handy, grab your block. If you have the ball handy, you could grab the ball. So you want something in your hands. Bring your hands out in front of you and lift the head. The idea now is to take the block or the ball behind your back and transfer it to the other hand and bring it forward again. That's one. Let's try that again. Around behind you, change hands, bring it back. That's two. One more. Three, and hold. And then we're going to go three back the other way. Back and change. Bring it forward. Keep the eyes up, back and around. That's two. Back and around. That's three. Drop the block, drop the hands, come back to crocodile and relax. So working the low back, bringing strength to the low back after the stretch of child's pose. Prepare for frog. Come onto your elbows. If you have a blanket, you can bring it out to the edge of your mat on the left side. We'll start with the left side. Bring your left knee and left ankle onto the floor, or if you're using padding, onto the padding. If some of you would like to go a little deeper with that hip stretch, consider replacing the blanket with a bolster. So you'll have an elevated external rotation on that left thigh. So all three are valid choices. Bolster, blanket, or floor. Bring your hands out to the side into goalpost arms and rest the side of your head onto the floor or a cushion or a blanket. And if the turning of the head is too intense, stack the hands and rest your forehead on stacked hands. So only add the neck turn if that's appropriate. Relax the left hip now. Let gravity and relaxation open that left hip. Feel the breath with the belly against the floor. And for those who've done this before with me, the next invitation will be to take your right hand behind the back and rest it on the low back. That may or may not be something you're ready for today. Resting the right hand on the low back. It's essential that the right shoulder is relaxed here and you're not straining the neck. Once again, have that self-honesty not to overdo it. We've got plenty of years ahead of us to grow into the pose. And for those who can, I want you to invite the left arm back and join the right arm. So both arms sinking into the low back. At any time it gets too much, you can always revert to a previous stage. If the right foot gets cramps, curl the toes and just let the cramps fade away. Five more breaths here. And when you're ready, release the hands. Lift the head and stack the hands under the forehead. Check in with your left hip. Make sure it's okay with the opening. We're going to increase the sensation by choice. You can stay here with the left hip open in crocodile pose. You can prop your elbows underneath your shoulders into Sphinx pose. Once again, this is more intensity in the body. Test the waters. Make sure it's appropriate. If you feel open, you can widen the elbows and hands and prepare to come into seal pose with the hip open. Once again, making sure that it's an appropriate felt sense in the body, that it's not too much. And mine is bordering on the edge here, so this is a big opening. For 3, 2, gently come down, lower down, stack the hands, and bring that left knee back to join the right knee. And simply notice, feel the sensations in your left hip. Your low back. And for the next few breaths, bring your attention to that posterior chain from the bottoms of the toes to the bottoms of the feet, to the back of the legs, all the way up through the back body, to the back of the skull and neck, over the top of the skull to your eyebrows. As if somebody's put a blanket, a fascial sling over that entire area. Prepare for the other side. So take your blanket or bolster to the other side, and when you're ready, bring the knee and the ankle out. If you can create a nice 90-degree angle with the knee, do so. And then come onto the side of the head if possible. Shoulders relaxed. Noticing what the twist in the neck feels like on this side. Checking that it's appropriate. Adjusting anything that needs supporting. And then bring the left hand back to the back and just notice how that feels as it relaxes into the low back. Letting the shoulder relax on that left side. And noticing the sensations this generates in your back, your shoulders, your neck. Let the breath facilitate the easing, the relaxing, the letting go. And once again, if you feel comfortable, you can invite the right arm back to join that left arm. There will be a tendency often for the shoulders to tense up here to protect the neck.
Notice if you can relax the shoulders, and if the neck is okay with that added sensation in the twist. And then invite the breath to magically soothe the nervous system. Let the breath slow down. The slower respiratory rate will soothe the nervous system. So there's always this contradiction when we come into these shapes, where one part of the body will want to react, to tighten up. If you can sense where your body is tightening up and speak to it with compassion and invite it to relax, the full effect of the shape will start to nourish the body. Five more breaths here. Always release gently and consciously, mindfully, slowly. Bringing the hands back under the forehead. Letting your attention drift to that right hip. Making sure it's okay. It's been open for a long time. And then aware of the options to increase sensation. Option 1, Sphinx pose. Let the head relax. You can even turn the head gently left and right after all that twisting. Let the sensations of the static rotation dissolve with movement. Movement is medicine. And if you've already, or if you haven't already, you can invite seal pose. Once again, this adds considerable sensation, and it needs to be appropriate in your body to maintain or sustain that. Exhale, come back to the earth. Stack the hands, bring the knees together. Notice the hips. Notice the hips. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Widen the knees. And this time, bring the knees around the bolster and come into child pose on your bolster with the head turned to one side. So you now have the bolster under the chest, the belly, and the head. You can always use cushions if you don't have a bolster. And this time, be sensitive to the neck. So after each 5 to 10 breaths, rotate the head into the opposite direction. So that the neck gets released after all that half frog pose. Change sides again. Notice the low back. And gently come up onto all fours and find a seat. Kneeling or cross-legged. Drill down through the sit bones into the earth, all the way to the center of the earth. Kaplunk. Then lift up the central axis of the body. Grow tall. Feel the heart lift up. The sunshine lifts you up, lifts the shoulders up, back and down. The throat lifts up. The head floats up. And then let the skin relax over the bones. Let the skin drape softly and gently. Bring your attention to the bottoms of the feet. And in your mind's eye, scan the posterior chain through the bottoms of the feet, the soles of the feet, the heels, the Achilles tendon, calf muscles, back of the knees, hamstrings, glutes, low back, mid-back, back of the shoulders, back of the neck, up over the skull to the eyebrows. Feel that fascial line, that fascial sling holding you together. Thanks for your practice tonight, everyone. Namaste.